I sailed solo to Cowes yesterday to do some filming for a future project. I spent a pleasant night there, and as I had a few days spare, I decided to do some more solo sailing and take myself off to Poole. So here we are, just motoring out. We're almost out to the small boat channel. The tide's running quite strongly. It's ebbing at the moment, so from right to left. And once I get outside, then I'll head up into the tide, just get more or less stationary and with the autopilot on and get rid of the fenders and the warps. Well, this isn't all that good. All that effort to get out of the harbour and get the fenders off and the lines sorted out and get the mainsail up, and we've got barely 6 knots of wind and a bit of a lumpy rolly sea as well. I've got the engine ticking over, so heading to the west, maybe to Newtown Creek tonight. We'll have to see. It'd be nice if there was a bit more breeze though. Anyway, this is what we've got, so this is what we'll have to manage with. Well, it was a bit slow, but the tide helped a lot, and surprisingly we did actually get past Hurst Castle and out into the channel. Once past Hurst, the wind filled in, and though it was a bit variable, I made my way along the coast towards Hengistbury Head. It was surprising how quickly we pulled away from Hurst. You can just see the lighthouse now. Hengistbury Head, which is just ahead of us. We've got a very light breeze, 9-10 knots, and we're in very little sea. We're still a bit of tide with us, so we're making our way to Studland Bay probably. Another very hot day. 30 degrees in the cabin at the moment. This breeze is very, very gratefully received. Plan is that tomorrow night we're going to be in Poole Quay Yacht Haven and then sail back on Sunday, as you were, and Saturday back to Gosport. But it's a lovely, lovely day out here now. It's been very, very frustratingly slow through the Solent. A lot of very variable wind, almost none at all, but having a bit of a race with a couple of other people, which is always good fun. Here we are getting along. What we're doing about, we're doing 4 knots. That's very acceptable in this sort of wind strength, and negligible sea. The sort of sailing that you could bring your mum out to enjoy. Well, we're plodding along quite nicely. 17 knots of wind, 5.6, and the sea state is nice. I think most of this wind is sea breeze. If you look at all those clouds there, they're thermals inland, and they'll be drawing air upwards and off the sea, and that's what we've got at the moment, is this nice sea breeze. So we're very grateful for it, because it's very, very nice. I'm just trying to make the boat go a bit faster. I don't know why. I seem to think she ought to go quicker than this, but it's lovely. There's the Needles over there, gleaming in the sunshine. Nice little boat coming along behind us. Well, you don't get much nicer days than this, you really don't. We've got 13 to 18 knots of wind. It's come round a bit on the beam now, so we're doing a steady 5 knots, a bit more. Hengistbury Head is over there, look, brown and lovely, and it's just the most perfect day. And now she's going a bit better. We've got 20 knots of wind now, and we're doing 6.2. So that's very acceptable, and she's just running nicely. Well, here we are on a buoy in Studland Bay. There's quite a swell coming into the harbour. I'll make a cup of tea and see how it goes, but I might not stay. If anything, the swell got worse, so I motored up into Poole Harbour itself and dropped the anchor behind Brownsea Island, where it was much, much calmer. Well, we're finished with our time here at the back of Brownsea Island. I think we're actually dragging at the moment, but we're off to the Town Quay Boat Haven. So just getting fenders and walks out and then we'll disappear. On our way into Poole Town Quay Boat Haven, where we've been allocated Berth Bravo 1-3. It's got quite windy out here actually. Quite looking forward to being tied up to something. We are in the boat haven safely. Time to stop the engine. There it goes. And don't forget to turn it off. There we go. Job done. Didn't bump into anything or anybody. It's fantastic. "7:30 on Saturday morning, and we're in Poole Quay Yacht Haven and about to set off back to Gosport. So I've just done all the checks down below. I'm just going to start the engine and we're off. Round we go. Somebody else going out as well ahead of us. Very pleasant morning, not a lot of wind, could do with a bit more breeze, but hopefully there'll be a bit more out when we get outside. Bye bye Poole Quay Yacht Haven, and hello Gosport. The wind was forecast to be northeasterly overall, but a bit more easterly to begin with. So I would expect a course slightly south of east, maybe 100 to 110 degrees. If I left Poole via the main channel, I would be setting this course from Poole Bar Buoy, and that would take me south of the Needles, a long way out and probably with a lumpy sea. Using the East Looe Channel, I would start out towards the Isle of Wight much closer inland and be aiming for the Shingles Bank and in a much smoother sea. However, the East Looe Channel, though buoyed, is not very wide and it is a bit shallow. I wouldn't attempt it on a falling tide. We're just leaving Sandbanks. We came in the inside passage to get to here, a bit shallow, down to a foot under the keel at one stage, but it gives you a much better angle. We're hard on the wind at the moment, hard on the wind heading towards the Needles. If we'd have gone right out to Poole Bar Buoy, then we would have been heading for St Catherine's Point or somewhere similar. Wouldn't be any fun at all if we didn't have anybody to race, would it? We are catching this guy up. He is, however, pointing a little bit higher than we are. Zephyr 4 is doing quite well, and we're doing 4.5 knots. We have been hitting 6 when the wind was a bit stronger, but we're definitely closing in on him. This is Bournemouth Beach there in the sunshine, early morning sunshine. Time is about 8:30 at the moment. Here we are on the chart plotter. Hengistbury Head's up here. This is where we've just left. The course made good is pretty good actually. The tide looks like it's slightly with us now. Wind, as you can see, about 45 degrees. We're making 5.6 knots over the ground, 5.4 knots through the water, so a little bit of tide with us helping, so quite good. The other little boat is about here somewhere now, and we'll be overtaking it very shortly. Let's just have a look. Yes, we're pretty much heading directly for the Needles. We won't do that. In fact, probably tack around about here and get inland and then coming through the North Channel. Sorry if this is a bit skew, but we've got a bit of heel on, and this DJI camera's got a gimbaled head, so it's trying to compensate. Well, we've definitely caught up with this other boat. It's a bit shorter than us actually, and and he is actually, we're pointing about the same now. We look to be on a parallel course. We certainly got closer to him, so dear old Zephyr is doing pretty well. A little bit of lumpy sea now, which slowing her down a bit, but we're still doing over 4 knots at the moment. 23 knots at the moment. We've got a naval ship over there. We're approaching Hengistbury Head. You see that lump just over there, and the sea's got a little bit lumpy, but we're doing all right. We are just past Hengistbury Head now and tacked inshore. Heading towards Hengistbury Head. We're just going to skirt round it, I think, with a bit of luck, and before we have to tack, and that will pretty much take us into the North Channel. Coming inshore has been benefited enormously. The sea's nowhere near as bad as rough. It was getting pretty spicy out near the Needles. By the tide on that little buoy, we've certainly got that with us. And over here we got a bit of a race to go through. I think this is just Christchurch Ledge. We went down to 19 feet, we're down to 23 now, so just a bit of a bump underwater that the tide's flowing over. That fishing buoy there is disappearing under the water with the tide. We're heading into the shore now, and I'm just watching the depth, down to about 20 feet at the moment, and in a minute we're going to tack, and we'll head off in that direction over there. There's a gap you can just about see, and that's where Hurst Castle is, where Hurst Point is, and that's what we're aiming for. Sadly, the wind's dropped away to nothing, and I've started the engine. We got the tide with us, but there's no wind. Everything flogs and bangs about, so sadly we got the engine on again. Well, here we are at last at the green buoy that marks the start of the North Channel. We've motored for about half an hour, and the wind has now picked up, but it's absolutely bang on the nose, so it would have been a real tacking job to get here. So I'm feeling it, though I'm a purist, I feel a bit lazy today, so we'll motor into the Solent and then probably tack all the way up the Solent. The wind's really picked up. It's blowing 17 to 20 knots, sometimes a bit more. I'm heading really quite close to the shore around Hurst Castle because I suspect the race is going quite well with this amount of tide, and I want to sneak round the edge of it. I don't want to go through it. No sense in getting chucked around when you don't need to. When you get close to the shore, you begin to see how fast you're going, and nearly a quarter of this is the tide, maybe more actually. We've got quite strong through here. This is the gun battery at Hurst Castle. You wouldn't want to be bashing into those rocks, would you? But we're actually in 18 feet of water under the keel at the moment, so we're quite deep, no great problems. And we're starting to feel the race now. It's getting a bit bumpy. And if we stay to the north as much as possible, we'll stay pretty much clear of it. Staying quite close in, we've only got 5 or 6 feet under the keel at the moment, which considering that over there it's about 100 feet deep, this side is really quite shallow, but we're not getting much in the way of bounces, and we'll be making our way across towards Lymington for a while, and then we'll tack and put sails up. We're hard on the wind, just going past Yarmouth. Fortunately the tide is still with us and the wind's picked up. We got 20 knots of wind, so we're doing 4.65 knots. I'm just getting set up for the tack, but I won't do it right this minute.
as these monsters are going past, and they're going to throw me around like mad in a minute. Hard on the wind all the way up, but with the tide still under us, and we're almost up to we're up to West Cowes now, and it's jolly good. Wind's very variable. 20 knots at the moment, was less than 10 about 10 minutes ago. So lots of adjusting sails and making things go. We got 19 knots of wind and she's doing 5.8 knots. Not bad really.
And then a big deja vu moment, almost off the entrance of Cowes, where I started 3 days ago with no wind. The wind just disappeared. So reluctantly I started the engine so to catch the last of the flood tide, and I motored home to Gosport. Thanks for joining me on my little solo excursion. It was good to have you along. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like and share with your friends. It all helps me to keep this channel going. Bye bye.